Good evening, everyone. I've been thinking for quite some time about what I wanted to share today, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. We often talk about compromise, but that raises some critical questions. With whom are we compromising? And just as importantly, who's being asked to compromise? These questions lead to more questions. Who are the real benefactors of this development? Were we appointed and elected to steward this land? But do we truly understand who we're serving? Are we making them compromise before we even fully grasp their priorities? These are questions I've been asking myself. Who are we accountable to? I believe the answer is clear: the citizens of Hull. But they're not the only ones with a stake in this process. Who are the stakeholders? First and foremost, the citizens of Hull. Are we confident we understand their priorities? The wider South Shore community, who enjoys Hull year-round, not just in the summer. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're an independent state agency, and our decisions impact more than just our town. Beyond that, there are many more stakeholders. The town of Hull, its select board, the town manager, and every resident who drives through this little strip of land every day. The Department of Conservation and Recreation, which own Nantasket Beach Reservation, where our property is located in the middle of it. Local businesses who have seen major changes in what Hull offers its visitors. Former residents whose families lost their homes to make way for redevelopment decades ago. The Department of Housing and Community Development, which ultimately must approve our plans. And yet, one group that is not a stakeholder is the HRA board. Our job is not to push a personal vision, but to facilitate a process that leads to the best outcome for all. This is not a top-down approach. We're a small group of decision makers present a compromised plan to be accepted or rejected. Instead, it must be a bottom-up led by the voices of people who live with the results for generations to come. Start with what the community told us and get the answers to all the HRA board members' open questions. We already have a significant amount of public input. Meetings at the high school, comments gathered by the Cecil group, direct citizen input in meetings, citizens' presentations, a large-scale survey. The feedback, up to this point, has been overwhelming. A desire for open community space tied closely to the beach. Strong preference for modest development, not overbuilt. A vision of public space that prioritizes community access over private development. If we are questioning this feedback, let's ask again, through a town-wide survey, a non-binding referendum, or a special town meeting. Collaboration with the DCR. One of the most significant gaps in our process is our relationship with the DCR. There, the Nantasket Beach Reservation Master Plan is expanding the boardwalk, but we have no direct communication with them. Who's our liaison? What are their plans? How can we work together to create a truly integrated vision for this land? A beach park is an idea that seems to be dismissed too quickly. I would think that the town, the DCR, the public, and all the shared stakeholders may want to consider the option, but it seems removed from the table up front. If we don't ask, we'll never know what's possible. We do not know if the DCR would be willing to, over time, move the DCR paved lot, or coordinate with us on a park playground next to their new bathhouse. We don't know. There's talk of HRA land swaps with the DCR, so someone, somehow, has been in discussions already, but with no memo of intent and no input directly with our board or an existing vote in the past. Let's formally invite them to a meeting and hear where they want to go. We're an independent agency. We don't have to just be a sidekick for town meetings. The town of Hull's role. The town has embarked on a master plan process. And in fact, the HRA, I believe, has contributed a lot of money towards that process. The town manager has said it's going to take 12 to 18 months to complete. At the very least, a vision of what citizens want on the HRA land should be part of that plan. There's another critical question. Why is the town pushing for a two-way road development along Hull Shore Drive extension? If we're considering a community center, park, public space, any of it, why insert a road that disrupts the connection between the town and the beach? Does the town have specific goals and requirements and motivations for this space? If so, they should clearly state so we can weigh it against the community input. Let's think about this. Hundreds of beach parking spots are at stake. Without a holistic plan, eliminating them could create unintended consequences. How can we proceed with any plan without discussions of where those cars are going to go? A 300-person convention center. Does the town have the influence over the timing of conference and weddings at Nantasket Beach Resort? Would the town be able to decide if that conference center could not have a major 300-person conference on the 4th of July? There's so many questions we should be working with the town to answer before we move forward. Our decisions will impact the town's resources. Let's invite the select board to designate someone to attend our discussions. What about the neighbors? Do we know what the abutters actually want? Are we assuming what Bibb Street residents will and won't accept? What about Edgewater and Bay Street? Local businesses have already lost the mini golf, arcade, and the beer garden, key attractions for visitors. We should be hosting forums with the business owners to understand their concerns. No conversations with or about Doc's house. Right there, smack in the middle. What, if anything, would they be willing to do? What about the families that were displaced? Have we asked them what they actually want? Some I've spoken to don't want to see private houses built. They'd rather have public space so they can still visit and enjoy the area. While we acknowledge the past land lost, we should remember that the original land belonged to the Nantasket Indians, the Wampanoag Indians, and was called Nantasket. They're actually the Massachusetts Indian tribe. Our potential funders and partners. We've recently heard from the Rogers family about nonprofit interest in funding a community center and park in honor of their son. Instead of treating this as a one-off, why not ask, are there other nonprofits, funders, who might collaborate? How can we build a broader coalition to support this vision? A larger way to get where we're going. There's also potential interest from the Wildlands Trust, an organization that could help us preserve the property and provide ongoing maintenance. Let's not delay these conversations. Let's bring them in to the full board and public discussion. The Wildland Trust should be invited as soon as April 7th. A reality check. Before we even talk about buildings or parks, this board needs to step back. For 60 years, we've been trying to make something there without talking to all the stakeholders, without talking to all the neighbors, and without talking to all of the citizens. Before we make something, let's gather all of the requirements and all the constraints from these parties. I've outlined many conversations we should be having in public before placing things on the game board. Invite the DCR to discuss their plan. Invite the abutters to express their concerns. Invite the select board to understand some of our constraints. Talk to families who lost their homes. Invite the Wildland Trust and consider other collaborators that can work with the Rogers to complete a holistic view of this property. Ultimately, with all those voices, arrive at an overreaching vision for the land. We cannot do piecemeal. We cannot create Dillon's Park without a grander vision. We cannot arrive at a URP without these steps, or we will be here for another 60 years. My final thoughts. Back to the word compromise. We should not be compromising among the five of us. This land is the crown jewel of Hull. We're at the crossroads. We have a choice. Rush to a decision that does not fully reflect the community's needs, or take the time to build something that's truly special, shaped by the voices of the people who live and work and visit here. I hope we choose wisely. Thank you for your time. I can make this available.